Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into some incredibly fascinating source material that, quite frankly, completely shattered everything I thought I knew about getting a great cardiovascular workout. I mean, we've all been conditioned to believe that to get our hearts pumping and our lungs working, we absolutely have to be moving fast and sweating hard, right? Well, what if I told you that's really only half the story? So let's just tackle this provocative question head on. What if the secret to a stronger heart and lower blood pressure was simply holding still? We usually just assume heart health requires sweating through some rigorous cycling class or, running miles on the pavement. But the clinical science we're exploring today, it tells a totally different story. The real secret to massive internal gains might just be your ability to hold completely, perfectly still. Let's get right into section 1, the power of stillness. Active, intentional stillness. To understand exactly how stillness can act like a medical miracle, we're specifically looking at something called isometric exercise. Basically, this involves tightening or contracting a specific muscle or group of muscles where those muscles don't noticeably change in length and your joints don't actually move. The really crucial takeaway here is that isometric exercise relies entirely on your own body weight in a static position to stabilize your core and your joints. And the best part? That makes it incredibly accessible to almost anyone, anywhere. Moving on to section 2, isometrics and blood pressure. We're talking about serious internal gains here. Okay, check this out. A recent MedCrave study of 66 hypertensive adults revealed an absolutely dramatic drop in blood pressure. After practicing isometric planks just 3 times a week for a short duration, these participants saw their systolic blood pressure, that top number, drop by 4.5 points. Their mean arterial pressure dropped by over 2.6 points, and their diastolic pressure dropped by 1.8. Now, in the medical world, those aren't just tiny shifts. Those are clinically significant health improvements that actively reduce your risk of heart disease. And get this, it was all generated by simply holding still. This data backs up exactly what the Mayo Clinic confirms. When you review it against high-intensity interval training or even standard aerobic cardio like running and cycling, isometrics are actually superior for lowering your resting blood pressure. Isn't that wild? It literally flips our entire traditional understanding of cardiovascular fitness completely on its head. The MedCrave study also recorded a massive 1,445-unit drop in something called the double product. Now, think of the double product as a measurement of how much oxygen your heart muscle is desperately consuming just to keep you alive. Lowering this number proves that isometrics significantly lower your overall cardiovascular load and your myocardial stress. So, simply put, your heart just doesn't have to work nearly as hard to pump blood efficiently throughout your entire body. It's a total game changer. Which brings us right into section 3, boosting respiratory efficiency, or as I like to call it, upgrading your lungs. Think of your respiratory system kind of like a machine with 2 main parts working together. On one side, you've got your flow generator, that's your diaphragm, which basically creates power by pulling air in. And on the other side, you have your pressure generators. These are the muscles in your rib cage and abdomen that actually force the air around. Well, isometric holds strengthen those abdominal pressure generators. And because of that, it allows your diaphragm, your main flow generator, to work far more efficiently without suffering from all that fatigue. So, by simply holding still and engaging that core, the adults in the study literally increased their total lung capacity by over a liter. That is huge. They also vastly improved their ability to inhale and exhale with force, jumping by over 7 points of water pressure in both peak inspiratory and peak expiratory metrics. But what does that actually mean for us? Well, in everyday terms, it means taking much stronger, deeper breaths and being far less winded when you're just, walking up a flight of stairs or carrying heavy groceries from the car. And all of that just by planking? Moving into section 4, the Bosu ball upgrade. We're talking dynamic instability. You guys know the Bosu ball, right? Invented back in 1999, that squishy half-dome thing you see at the gym is actually a phenomenal tool. It gives you a full body workout, it massively improves your balance, and it's extremely low impact. The real magic here is that the Bosu ball forces your muscles to prioritize stability over force production. So it essentially turns a standard, simple, static hold into this massive, full body neurological challenge. Sure, a standard floor exercise gives you a really solid baseline of muscle activation. But the moment you move that exact same exercise to an unstable Bosu ball, you create significantly higher EMG muscle activation. What that means is your brain is basically firing off way more electrical signals, screaming at your muscles to work harder. This especially lights up your rectus abdominis and your external obliques. Your body literally has to work overtime just to keep you from wobbling all over the place.
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 5, Build Your Core Routine. This is the practical application part. So how do we actually put this into practice? Well, according to the experts over at Peloton, it all starts with mastering the perfect standard plank. First, place your palms directly beneath your shoulders. Then you want to keep your toes on the ground, your legs nice and long, and your feet together. Make sure you keep your neck totally neutral and get that pelvis slightly tucked. But the absolute most important thing here, making sure your alignment is perfectly straight. That is vital if you want to protect your lower back and maximize your muscle engagement.
Now we really need to talk about the biggest mistake people make with this: forgetting to breathe. Seriously, you must slowly breathe in and out. There's this huge misconception out there that isometric exercises will dangerously spike your blood pressure, but as the Mayo Clinic actively warns, that only happens if you are straining and holding your breath. So rule number 1, never ever hold your breath during an isometric hold. Once you've finally got that standard plank down, Ace Fitness and Garage Gym Reviews actually recommend adding in some variations to fix muscle imbalances and really target those obliques. You can try rainbow planks, which is where you drop your hips side to side, or up downs, where you transition from a high plank down to your forearms. You can even bring that Bosu ball back into the mix for mountain climbers and single leg glute bridges. That is definitely going to elevate your heart rate. And here is your ultimate target number, 60. Your big goal should be to maintain a perfect, unbroken plank for 60 seconds. Now, if you can't do that today, honestly, that's perfectly fine. Don't stress. You can easily achieve this over time by gradually adding just 10 to 15 seconds to your total hold time each week. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final thought and a question. What 60 seconds of stillness are you willing to commit to your heart and your lungs today? Your body literally has incredible, hidden superpowers just waiting to be unlocked. So hey, as soon as we're done here, drop to the floor, check your form, remember to breathe, and start utilizing the absolute incredible power of stillness today.